They set sail to conquer the Arctic, but none of them ever returned. In 1845, the Franklin expedition was the most advanced and best-equipped polar mission in history. Imagine this: 2 former Royal Navy warships, the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, their hulls reinforced with thick iron plating and fitted with powerful coal-fired steam engines. They were the cutting edge of exploration technology. On board were 129 highly experienced officers and sailors, handpicked for this dangerous undertaking. They carried a staggering amount of supplies, including a 3-year stockpile of food, much of it preserved in newly invented lead-sealed tins. With the full backing of the mighty British Empire, their mission was ambitious, but seemed achievable: to finally navigate and chart the last unknown section of the fabled Northwest Passage. In July of 1845, after crossing the Atlantic, the 2 ships were spotted by whalers in Baffin Bay, off the coast of Greenland. The crews were in high spirits, ready to push into the maze of Arctic islands. They sailed west, into the ice, and then, complete and total silence. The Franklin expedition, with its 129 men, its state-of-the-art ships, simply vanished from the face of the earth. What happened to them became one of history's most enduring and chilling mysteries. For years, the world waited, but no word came. The silence from the Arctic was deafening. Lady Jane Franklin, Sir John's determined wife, lobbied relentlessly, and the British Admiralty launched one of the largest search and rescue operations in history. Dozens of ships and hundreds of men scoured the vast, unforgiving wilderness, searching for any sign of the lost expedition. The first clues they found, years later on the desolate beachy island, were chilling. 3 well-made graves, marking the final resting place of crew members who had died during the expedition's very first winter. The men had perished, but it was clear their mission had pushed onward. The trail was cold, but it was a start. Then, as search parties ventured deeper, they began to encounter the local Inuit people who had inhabited these lands for centuries. Through interpreters, the Inuit began to share horrifying stories. They described seeing a large 3-masted ship trapped and crushed by the relentless pressure of the sea ice. Later, they spoke of encountering a band of desperate, starving white men, dragging heavy lifeboats on sleds, struggling southwards in a desperate attempt to reach civilization. These were the first eyewitness accounts of the expedition's fate. The Inuit accounts were detailed and disturbing. They described the sailors as being frighteningly sick and thin, their faces gaunt, their eyes wild with hunger and desperation. They were a ghost crew, stumbling through the frozen landscape. Even more terrifying, the Inuit told of finding campsites left behind by these men, littered with shocking evidence: human bones, sawed and broken open, scattered around cooking pots. The implication was clear and unthinkable. The survivors had been forced to break the ultimate taboo to stay alive. When these stories reached Victorian England, the public and the establishment were horrified. They refused to believe that brave Royal Navy sailors would resort to cannibalism. They dismissed the Inuit accounts as sensationalist lies, but time and science would prove them wrong. Modern archaeological excavations at these very sites uncovered human remains bearing clear, undeniable cut marks from knives. The bones had been systematically defleshed. The Inuit stories were not just true, they were devastatingly accurate. The crew of the Franklin expedition had resorted to cannibalism. Amidst the scattered remains and grim tales, a single, definitive piece of written evidence was finally discovered. Found tucked inside a stone cairn on King William Island, it was an official document from the expedition. Written on a standard Royal Navy form, 2 separate entries told a story of utter catastrophe. The first, dated May 1847, was optimistic. It stated all well, but a second, handwritten message, scrawled in the margins a year later in April 1848, painted a picture of absolute disaster. The ships, it said, had been trapped in the ice for 2 brutal winters. Sir John Franklin himself was dead. The note confirmed the worst. The 105 survivors, now under the command of Captain Francis Crozier, had abandoned the ice-locked ships. Their plan was a desperate, last-ditch march for survival. They intended to walk hundreds of miles south to a Hudson's Bay Company outpost on the Canadian mainland, hauling heavy lifeboats loaded with meager supplies across the hostile, frozen terrain. They embarked on a journey from which none would return. Every last one of them perished. For over 150 years, the exact fate of the men and the final resting place of their ships remained one of history's greatest maritime mysteries. But the search for the Erebus and Terror never truly ended. In the 21st century, the hunt was renewed, this time with a powerful new alliance. Canadian researchers and archaeologists armed with cutting-edge technologies, side-scan sonar, autonomous underwater vehicles, and advanced magnetometers teamed up with Inuit historians and guardians of traditional knowledge. They combined modern science with ancient oral history, using Inuit accounts passed down through generations to narrow the vast search area. Then, in September 2014, came the breakthrough the world had been waiting for. A sonar image appeared on a screen aboard a research vessel, revealing the unmistakable, ghostly outline of a 19th-century shipwreck. It was sitting perfectly upright on the shallow seabed, a dark shape against the sand. It was, without a doubt, Franklin's lost flagship HMS Erebus. After more than a century and a half, one of the ghost ships had been found. The discovery was astonishing. The frigid oxygen waters of the Arctic had preserved the ship in incredible condition. Remotely operated vehicles, essentially underwater drones, were sent down to explore the wreck. The footage they sent back was surreal. It was a ghost ship from a lost world, a time capsule of a failed expedition. Cannons were still in their positions. The ship's bell lay on the deck, and personal artifacts were scattered about, as if the crew had just left. The story wasn't over. Just 2 years later, guided again by a crucial tip from an Inuit hunter, the team made an even more spectacular discovery. 60 miles away from the Erebus, in a body of water aptly named Terror Bay, they found her sister ship, HMS Terror. The condition of this second wreck was even more pristine. It looked as though it had sunk just yesterday, not in the 1840s. The ship's wheel was intact, windows were unbroken, and inside the officers' cabins, through the murky water, researchers could see plates neatly stacked on shelves and desks with drawers shut tight, their contents waiting to be discovered. The finding of the Erebus and Terror finally solved the mystery of where the ships had ended up. The heroic paintings of the expedition setting sail from a cheering London now stand in stark contrast to the silent, eerie underwater images of their perfectly preserved wrecks. These discoveries have opened a new chapter in this incredible story. But the full tale of what happened to the 129 men in their final, desperate days is a haunting puzzle that archaeologists are still piecing together, one artifact at a time, from these frozen underwater tombs. Thank you so much for watching. The search for answers continues, and we'll be sure to bring you updates as this incredible story unfolds. If you found this as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. We'll see you next time.